of the Hollister Planning Commission, regular meeting, October 26th, 2023. Commissioner Lenore, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Roll call.
Chair Henderson,
Present.
Commissioner Corona,
Present.
Commissioner Lenore,
Present.
Vice Chair Bilal,
Present.
and Commissioner Ross let staff know that she would not be able to attend this evening.
Okay.
And then agenda posting was Friday, October 20th, 2023 at 10 a.m.
Thank you. For approval minutes, we have the minutes from September 28th, 2023. Are there any corrections?
Yes. So when we fixed it, the last one from the last time, where's my minutes? It's actually any one, any space one on that one we corrected. If I could, maybe I'll see it right here real quick.
You're right, Commissioner Lenore.
Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other corrections to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve
I move
with the
Yes, I move that we
correction?
adopt the minutes of September 28th with the noted correction as presented.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thanks. Motion carries 4-0. Public input. This is the time for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. Speaker cards are available in the lobby and are to be completed and given to the secretary before speaking. When the secretary calls your name, please come to the podium, state your name and city for the record, and speak to the City Planning Commission. If you are joining us by Zoom, please click on the bottom of your screen to raise your hand. If you are joining us by Zoom using a cell phone, please press *9. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes per subject. Please note that state law prohibits the Planning Commission from discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda. Do we have any speakers?
I have no speakers for public comment.
Okay, we'll close the public input. On to public hearings. Item number 1, Site and Architectural Review 2022-6.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson Henderson. Staff is requesting this item to be tabled to a date uncertain, and we will renotice when the project is ready to come back to the commission. We've had some members of the public who've been interested in the item, so we're hoping to notice them when it's actually time, so they don't have to continue to keep coming back. And we're working with the applicant still on revising plans per the direction.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the public who would like to comment regarding the continuing the item to a date uncertain?
I have no speaker cards and no hands raised, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to continue to a date uncertain?
I move that we continue SNA review 2022-6 to a date uncertain.
We have a motion. Is there a second? I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. On to item 2, tentative map 2023-3 and site and architectural review 2023-7.
Thank you. This item will be presented by Erica Fraser.
Good evening. The item before you is an 84-unit condominium multifamily residential development. It's located on the northwest corner of West Side Boulevard and 4th Street. It's shown in blue on your screen. To the north, there are existing single-family residential dwellings. Across the street, across West Side, there is some single-family residential as well as the Starbucks, which is proposed on the larger rectangular site. To the west of the project site, or to the left on the screen, is one single-family residence and then an office building. And then across the street, we have some multifamily residential as well as further down single-family residential. This is the proposed layout of the site. There is an access off of West Side as well as an access off of 4th Street. There is an internal roadway system which will have parking on the main drive aisle, as well as some parking further down the interior drive aisles, which provide access to the garages for the residential dwellings. At the right of the site, and I'll show it again later on the landscape plan, is an open space area, as well as next to this is trash enclosure to support the development. This is the landscape plan for the site, the conceptual landscape plan, so it's a little bit easier to see. Again, we have the open space to the left, which is available to all the residents of the development. There are pedestrian paths that wind down these interior courts. So the front door of the condominiums will face interior. The garage faces the drive aisle. So interior front door, exterior drive aisle. So down the center, they have their own private patios. They have a walkway. There's landscaping to activate that area. These sidewalks connect through the development. So the person located all the way at the top of the site can travel all the way to, or connect all the way through west to 4th Street using the pedestrian paths. Again, there are trees throughout the site. It meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance for landscaping. And then we have a double row of trees at 4th Street to provide shading, and then as well as the trees on West Side, which meet the requirements of the city for street trees. Oh, okay. So getting back, so I'm going to show you here, and then I'm going to go to the elevation. So West Side Boulevard, where I said that there's the front entrances, those like the front doors, that portion of the building is going to directly face West Side Boulevard. At 4th Street, we have one building that's kind of the front elevation, as we're going to call it, and then we have side elevation. So we'll talk about them in more detail, but I just wanted you to know where those were. No. What? Okay. Thank you. So at the lower end front, this is what I'm referring to as the front elevation because it has the front doors. So this is facing, one of these packs will face 4th Street, and then West Side, West Side Boulevard, that is what will be facing it. In terms of this design, we have varying the massing, we have different roof heights, we have different color schemes. They have 2 color schemes for the site. We have that important front door facing the street for street activation, which meets the requirement of the zoning ordinance, as well as, hard to see, but down in here, they have patios. Each unit has their own patio, so that further activates the street. Again, the design of this building meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance for design for the West Gateway and the mixed-use zoning district. As far as the 4th Street goes, in this case, due to the orientation of the building, we have a shift for that elevation facing that side. So again, we have one of these, and then the rest will be this right elevation that you see. Again, this elevation does meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. We're not to have any blank walls facing any streets. We need to have windows. We need to have articulation. That does meet it. It further activates the street in that, as I mentioned, we have those walkways that go all the way through. So from 4th Street, people can access their front door easily, as well as their own patio, which again has the low wall to provide some activation on the street where people are going to hopefully be out there using their patio and enjoying it and providing a nice pedestrian element for everyone. And then there's a sliding glass door onto the patio that you can again access from the patio from the street, because we have those pedestrian walkways that go throughout the site. This is the street elevation. This is very hard to see, but I did want to include it. So if you look at the top, this is the West Side Boulevard. So you see those two front elevation buildings. It is in the project plans, but this is the two front door buildings. So you can see what that would look like with the two color schemes with the landscaping at West Side. Oops. And then here again is more examples of what it looks, the bottom one is more examples of what it looks like throughout the development. This is the 4th Street elevation where you can see the front door facing one as well as the side facing elevation. So you can get a glimpse of what it really looks like on those two streets for the full street elevation.
Could you go back one slide? So are those fences in between on the street or in between the buildings?
This is easier for me. So,
Oh.
so what we have is we have the little patios here. There are fences because there are fences all the way back. So we have fence here, here, and then all the way the sides. At the 4th Street and at West Side, we have low patio walls. It's on the fencing plan. And within the packet, there's the two examples. So you have the taller fence, the 6-foot fence, and then you have the low patio fence, which is
48 inch.
which is the 48 inch, and there's a little elevation of what that looks like in the packet. As far as parking goes, the project does meet the requirements of the municipal code and in fact actually exceeds it. They're required to have 182 parking spaces and they're going to provide 193. The parking spaces will be provided through a combination of each unit has a 2-car garage as well as parking within the development on the street.
Okay.
One thing that the municipal code or the zoning ordinance does require is it does require certain transitions between this type of project and then the existing project that we have, most importantly to the north where it's single-family residential dwellings. Our code requires this transition and there's a specific requirement within the code for an angle to demonstrate that they are far back enough from the property line. Within your packet, there were multiple elevations or multiple sections showing the compliance with it. I provided this one just so you could see an example, but there are multiple, they provided a section of all of them so you could see that separation and they do meet that required requirement of the code for not building within that required 45-degree angle. They are also, as we just discussed, putting the 6-foot tall fence at the north and the western property line. And there will be trees and other landscaping for screening at both of those property lines to the single-family residential dwellings. In conclusion, the project is attractively designed and it will enhance views of the existing site. It provides additional for-sale multifamily units, which the city does need. It is categorically exempt from CEQA because it is an infill project, and it is consistent with the goals and policies of the general plan and all the requirements of the zoning ordinance. And staff has 3 options for you. One is to approve the project. The second is to approve the project with modified conditions. The third is to deny the project, and the fourth is to continue the hearing and provide staff with additional information or clarification if you would like. Staff is recommending that you approve this project tonight. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
So I think there's an error in the staff report when you're talking about the number of parking spaces required. It says that for 2-bedroom, it's only one for a 2-bedroom unit. Only 1 space is required, but I think the ordinance says 1.5 spaces.
It's 1.5. It was calculated at 1.5. So that's just
Yeah.
an error in that one table.
Yeah, and then the parking ordinance code, it's listed as 17.18.030, but I believe the correct one is 17.18.060.
Section.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think you're right,
Yeah.
Chairperson.
and it's also listed that way in the resolution as well. Are there any questions for staff regarding the presentation? Okay, we will open the public comment at 6:15. Any speakers?
I do have a speaker card, Chairperson Henderson, but first I'd just like to announce that we received 2 written comments. One was an email, which should have been provided, and then we have a hard copy available for the Planning Commission from Beverly Horner. And then we did receive tonight a written comment from Catherine or Kathy Sanchez. So a copy of that's been provided to the Planning Commission as well. And then a speaker card, I have Kathy Sanchez.
My name is Catherine Sanchez. I'm a Hollister resident, and my comments for the project regard the perimeter fencing, on-street parking, the existing utility lines, street trees, and a bus stop. About the perimeter fencing, the project recommends a 6-foot perimeter wood fence on the north and west side of the project, and I'd like the commissioners to consider making it higher because the condominiums are 2 and 3 stories high next to the existing homes and the medical offices. And wherever there's a wood fence proposed, if you'd perhaps consider a double lattice wood topper so it looks a little higher. Regarding the on-street parking, I would like to ask, will there be on-street parking on the West Side Boulevard in front of the condominiums? Will there be on-street parking on 4th Street in front of the proposed condominiums? There's existing utility lines on the empty lot. So regarding the existing utility lines that are just behind the medical offices, will the project be putting those underground? And regarding street trees, I'm seeing on the plans that it's Chinese pistache trees on the sidewalk area, and I welcome that because I think it's going to add shade for people who walk, and I'm glad it's included. Regarding a bus stop, I'd like you to consider having a bus stop space on the West Side Boulevard corner for the proposed project. If you walk from Buena Vista to 4th Street on that side, I don't see a bus stop. And we are growing, and I don't think we'll always be the dial-a-ride style. So if you'd consider leaving space for a bus stop. And I appreciate the opportunity to comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So staff, before we move on to next speaker, could you go ahead and address the questions?
I'm a little unsure of what, the question on the utilities, if they're on the office building, I'm a little unsure of that one, but their engineer's here, so I think he could better answer how they're gonna underground utilities if they are. As far as the bus stop goes, the San Benito Council of Governments is routed our projects when we have them as part of our DRC. So they are part of our Development Review Committee. And they comment on our projects and most often do request a bus stop as part of the projects that we are seeing. With this one, there was some uncertainty in it. And so the developer's aware, the comment has been made by COG about the provision of a bus stop or something in that area, but because there's another one that's planned for quite close to this one, they're still working it out. So there is a condition in there that says they need to get final approval from COG before we kind of finish up with this project on building permit, but we just didn't want to delay the planning commission while it's still being worked out, you know, from another agency. And then for on-street parking, there is parking in the area on the physical street, so 4th Street and West Side. But when we count parking, we're only counting parking within the development because that's considered on-site. Because off-site really doesn't count towards their numbers. So there is parking in the area, but it's just not included in that number.
So there's no parking on either frontage, West Side or 4th Street? It's just like the other side where
I'm
they
gonna
park, right?
fully pull up the project plans here
Okay.
because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing.
Kind of like what we did on the other side. There's parking out there.
So this is Mark Felgo, the acting city engineer. And there was a little bit, there may have been a gap in engineering review of this project, but there was a comment made by engineering too that they needed to implement the West Side beautification gateway, the West Gateway beautification plan along their 4th Street frontage, because that plan goes all the way to West Side, which would provide parking similar to what's on the opposite side of the street. I don't know if that became a condition of approval for the project or not.
It is a condition of approval. They have to comply with the west side, West Gateway
There you go.
beautification plan.
Yeah.
There's
okay.
2 conditions in there.
So
Okay.
there'll be parking.
Do we have another speaker?
I have
What
no
is that?
other speaker
I-
cards.
Okay. I'll wait until you close the public hearing.
Through the chair, the only other part of that comment that was not addressed is the fence height.
That's what I want to talk about.
Fence heights are limited to 6 feet.
And a 2-foot non-solid,
Excuse me?
2-foot
Yes,
non-solid on top of that 6-footer.
you could have a 2-foot lattice in the residential, so that could be something the commission could potentially change or
Yeah,
add as a
It
condition.
needs to be
of-
higher than 6 feet. And it's a policing thing is why they don't want it solid. Because then they can't jump over the fence. They have to. And they can't see, so
Any other-
non-solid.
We're still in public comment. Any other
Oh,
speakers?
sorry.
I don't have any other speaker cards, Mr.
And
Chair.
sorry to interrupt
Go
again,
ahead,
but there
Mark.
was a question about the overhead utilities. And typically, I will say that we have a typical condition of approval that any overhead utilities need to be undergrounded. And I don't know if that made it into the conditions.
I think it did.
We'll confer.
Okay.
I don't.
Oh, you're right. Engineering.
Okay, last call for speakers.
I have no other speakers, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We'll close the public comment at 6:22. Okay, any comments about the project?
Chair.
Yes.
Now I'll say it in the appropriate time. I get excited sometimes and I just blurt it out. Yes, I'm in agreement with a little higher fence of with a non-solid 2-foot on wherever it's 6 feet wooden fence. That's my opinion. I agree with Ms. Sanchez.
I had a question for staff regarding mixed, so this is zoned for mixed use, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So could you explain how the project is mixed use?
So the project is not currently mixed use. It is a 100% residential project. However, the city of Hollister does not currently have any objective requirements in the West Gateway zoning district or in our West Gateway general plan designation that would require a certain percentage of perhaps the ground floor or a frontage of commercial. And due to current housing laws, when reviewing a residential project, the Planning Commission and the city must only consider objective requirements that are in our codes. So at this time, we don't have any requirement for a mixed-use project, though it is encouraged in the zoning designation.
Okay, thank you. And so are there any provisions for affordable units?
They do not, they have not requested a density bonus, and we do not have a requirement for affordable units.
Okay, thank you.
I was also wondering the same, so I did pull up the current zoning for the West Gateway, and yeah, it doesn't mention commercial. It does say multifamily residential buildings or mixed-use buildings are encouraged. So we're not quite there yet, darn it. I think I think it's a good-looking building. I like it. It has variation. It has the shutters. I like shutters because it makes for a nicer looking wall. It has those slanted things there that's got a nice accent. I mean, I think it's, and then the patios, and I think it'll look good.
Mhm.
And I'm excited for the 3-story.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very attractive project, and I agree with you on the fencing. I think that having the 6 foot plus the 2 foot lattice would be a good condition to add.
I know it's tough when you have a multi-story going next to single family, and it does happen. It's unfortunate, but it happened to my mom on Cushman.
Is this the Recreation property that you're talking about? The Recreation property
No,
on 4th Street, San Juan Road?
I think they sold it to this owner.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because,
Yeah, we can't have a conversation with the,
Yeah, sorry.
yeah,
sorry, my bad.
that's okay. Okay, any other comments? So, what is the pleasure of the commission?
Is it CUP or SNA? Excuse me, I'm sorry, is it
Tentative map
tentative map
and
and
a SNA.
SNA? So is it the tentative map first?
Yes.
Yes, please. The tentative map
all right.
first. And I have a
I move
resolution number.
that we adopt the resolution number, please.
2023-32, Commissioner Livermore.
I move that we adopt PC resolution number 2023-32, approving vesting tentative map 2023-3 on an existing 4.01 acre site for 84 condominium unit plus parcels.
Okay, thank you.
With the findings, and conditions as stated in the resolution. Is there conditions? Yes.
Thank you for the motion. If we wanted to add a condition for the fencing, is that part of the tentative map or the site and architectural?
It would be part of the site and architectural.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Do we have a motion for the site and architectural review?
I move that we adopt PC resolution number 2023-33 with the amendment of the fence condition. I'm sorry, I should really know which condition it is. Can you guys tell me?
We're gonna add it as
Okay.
condition of approval number 146.
Well, there's a fencing condition in here. You can't amend it.
There is one.
Do you wanna amend it or just have one so it
Whatever
steers?
you guys want,
I kinda like it when it stares right out at you, personally, so.
as
if
long
we-
as they're right next to each other, I guess it's good.
If we added it to the end, it'd be a special condition of approval, and it could be, the landscape plans and the building permit plans shall show that the fence along the northern and the western property line shall be 6 feet tall, plus a 2 additional feet of lattice.
Non-solid material you could
Yeah.
put, because it's not always lattice. They could do something that even looks better than lattice.
Yeah, so 50% see-through
Yeah,
portion.
I like wrought iron, but it's a wood fence. So with that amendment, and the conditions and per the findings and conditions of the staff report with the one amendment on the fence, adding 2 feet of non-solid material.
Thanks. We have a motion on the floor. So I noticed, I brought up before about the municipal code number being wrong, so.
We can fix it, if you make a motion to fix it, we'll fix it in the final resolution.
So friendly amendment?
Yeah,
to
friendly
fix,
amendment.
The
Yeah,
code section numbers to be accurate.
yeah.
And through the chair, just a question for my staff. Was there a condition of approval for undergrounding utilities?
There is, it's within the engineering, it requires the tract boundary. We could change that,
Usually it says that.
it is,
It does,
I'm
but
having
the
a hard time
language
with
is
it.
not super clear. It might make sense to add a condition if it's the pleasure of the commission to just be very clear that the utilities on the site shall be undergrounded.
Let's see. Hang on a second.
it's, where did it go again? I keep losing it.
There's two.
I know there's a PG&E one, and then there's a, okay, it's, if you, condition,
What number?
condition of approval 123,
123.
developer shall exhaust all reasonable efforts to eliminate or underground the existing overhead wiring located along the tract boundary. We could amend it,
Shall
or
consider.
add a new one.
Oh, I want it needs to be underground, that's my opinion. What, we can discuss right now, cause we have is that your
Right, we
goal?
can,
Is that
yeah, we
your
can
goal?
discuss the motion on the floor, so do we
Okay.
need to amend it for this underground condition? Or is it sufficient that what it says in the condition?
Can we hear from the applicant, Chairman? Is that possible?
Yeah, I believe it's okay.
Yeah, if you reopen the public hearing.
Okay, we'll reopen the public hearing at 6:31.
Thank you. Looks like he wants to tell us something.
Hi, guys. Thank you for the votes. My only concern with undergrounding utilities, and it is our desire to underground utilities, is, but we are subject to PG&E on the utilities.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily want to agree to a condition that we may or may not be able to fulfill, but it is our desire to underground the utilities on the site. So that was why that language was in the conditions of approval,
Okay,
to exhaust
like
all
that.
efforts with
Okay.
PG&E. But for some reason, we were unable to do so. That's not within our control, unfortunately.
I've never heard that come up before.
I mean, no, we are supposed to underground them when feasible, according to the rules of the state, but there are extraordinary circumstances, which I don't know.
Hey, wait a minute. We have local rules. Because we made them underground on San Benito Street next to me when Nino put his building in. And when the condos went in, they had to underground the utilities.
And as an applicant, we're willing to underground the utilities. That's not what we're fighting the condition on. It's just if, but it's got to be with permission of PG&E. So I guess that would be our stipulation or request. But the intent of undergrounding them is, we wholeheartedly agree with.
So,
Well, then how do we handle it?
so the question is the language in the, well, any other public comments?
PG&E is so far behind. I don't trust them.
Yeah, do we have another public speaker before we close?
I'd like to say something.
Yeah, you come to the podium. Yeah, please come to the podium.
Oh, thank you so much for that.
You gotta excuse me, because I have Parkinson's disease and I shake like thought knots.
That's all right. Just to read, it's
Yeah,
fine.
I don't know what's going on, but,
Can you state your name?
my name is George Cabrera. I'm 56 years old. I'm a Hollisterite. I went to Hollister High and I played football and I played just freshman because I ended up getting bad grades because I got my girlfriend pregnant and so on and so forth. And I went to San Andreas and graduated from there. But I got my diploma. And my son's 36 right now, and he's an actor, and he's Caleb Cabrera. And so I just want to tell you who I am. And you got to excuse me because they got me on some medication. I take like 30-something pills a day. I take 26, 4 times 6 is 24. 4 pills of carbolevodopa for dopamine because my Parkinson's. I'm at the maximum of pills and.
Mr. Cabrera, do you have a comment
Yes,
about
yes,
the?
yes. Is this the housing project that's going to take part on the Rackridge property or in the west side?
Yeah,
It's not the Rakovich property. That's
Okay,
on the other
okay,
side.
was it the Frank Sanchez property, in the back by the gas station?
No. It's on the north side of 4th Street,
Okay, so
the other side.
okay, I just wanted to let you know that I live on Line Street, 846 Line Street. 5th Street right here. And we rent our house from Miss Dable. I don't know if you guys remember Miss Dable.
Mrs. Dabo,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, she owned the Dables, and next to the gunnels, and so. But what I wanted to say is, there's a bunch of child molesters in the buildings across the way. Is there going to be child molesters there too? Because
No.
I got kids, and I'm afraid that they're everywhere. But are you guys going to allow them to live there, or that's nothing that I should be even addressing?
Probably not in our purview.
Okay.
But I would
okay,
hope not, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other speakers before we close public comment?
I have no additional speaker cards, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we'll close public comment at 6:35. So back to, we have a motion on the floor. So the question was, are we going to further modify it regarding the underground utilities? I think the language was
I think it's,
sufficient.
yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Could I make a suggestion? If you ask us to change the responsible department to engineering and planning, it'll trigger that we also need to be looking for it, if you would like.
Okay.
Based on this conversation we have, I know what we've discussed. It'll remind us that we need to also pay attention to it.
Okay.
So Commissioner Laura, would you want to modify your motion with the
Okay,
suggestion?
so we're gonna modify the condition as well as the fence, extension. We'll go ahead and modify condition 23 to put it not only under the purview of engineering, but planning as well.
Thank you. We have any other questions or on the motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. We move on to item 3.
Thank you for your nice-looking building and your investment.
Item 3, Site and Architectural Review 2023-5 and Conditional
Thank you,
Use Permit 2023-2.
Thank you, Chairperson Henderson. We're just going to do a little bit of a seat swap here, and the presenter will be Magda Gonzalez.
Good evening, Commissioners. I am presenting Site and Architectural Review 2023-5 and Conditional Use Permit 2023-2. The applicants are Steve and Lisa Ravella for Ravella's Gym. The requests are approval for a conditional use permit to establish a gym and health spa use, and a site and architectural review to modify the existing building. The modifications include new exterior entry, the removal of a roll-up door, the replacement of a roll-up door with a double swinging door, adding paint, cement plaster finish, landscaping, and restriping the parking lot. The project location is 802 Industrial Drive. It is a 1.6 acre parcel developed and surrounded by developed parcels as well. This is an overall view of the site plan. The proposed modifications will only take part on existing tenant space number 1, which is the largest of the areas highlighted on here. And the modifications with the parking and landscaping will take place on the southwest corner of this diagram. This is a more detailed or zoomed in description of the exterior proposal. The modifications have been reviewed by the fire department as well as Recology. They have approved the location of the trash bin. It's currently in the same location, and they have no issues with that, maneuvering their trucks in and out. The fire department did request an expansion of, no? Okay. No. Sorry about that. Where the cursor is hovering to expand that area to 20 feet in order to allow their trucks to maneuver in and out. So they comply with that as well. There's they are providing 41 parking spaces. The requirement is for 40, and they're adding one more than what is required. And like I previously mentioned, they're restriping the parking. They are adding bike racks and pedestrian paths of travel within the frontage of that parcel. The elevations, most of the modifications will take place in the front of the building, which is on Industrial Drive. As I previously showed, it's a 3-tenant building, and the way it's set up, it's a little difficult to encourage for them to do modification on every single wall, because it would create, it wouldn't be so smooth, a cohesive development. So this is what the elevation looks like right now. The areas highlighted within the red area are not part of this proposal, okay? But they included on here just so you guys can get a better, accurate depiction of what's on there now. This is what they're proposing. They're gonna do, I'm sorry, give me just a second. Cement plaster finish with different colors to provide a more attractive facade. They're gonna do this new facade with new signage. They're gonna replace some of the roll-up doors and add storefront windows. And they're gonna retain the top portion, which is ribbed metal siding, and that will help tie in the rest of the building, which has ribbed metal siding. Like I said, to make it more cohesive and not just make this area stand out when the rest of the building is used by other tenants and it's metal. This is the elevation on the north. Again, the areas highlighted on the in red are not part of this development, but they are proposing to paint any part that is visible from the side that is part of this improvement. Here's another section. They're not making any modification on this one. The only visible ones would be where the cursor is hovering right now, just different paint colors because that's part of the front of the building. Their landscaping, what the building currently has and even the existing site is quite reduced from what the current standards are now. The building is existing, so therefore they had to work with what they have, and they are proposing to, they have existing trees at the front of the property. They're gonna keep those and add more vegetation along the front of the building and on the side as well. So the proposal is consistent with the general plan. It does require approval of a conditional use permit to establish that use, but it is a permitted use within the industrial, light industrial zoning. It also is compliant, the proposed modifications of the building are also permitted with approval of a site and architectural review. And the project is exempt from CEQA because it meets all the guidelines. It's an existing building. They're not adding anything. They're not modifying anything. If anything, they're proposing to improve what they currently have on there with additional parking and making it more pedestrian friendly and more landscaping, which is substantially below what would be required now. Staff has four options for you today to adopt the resolutions for site and architectural review 2023-5 and resolution for conditional use permit 2023-2 approving the findings, subject to the findings and conditions presented to you by staff. Option number 2 is for you to approve both the site and architectural review and conditional use permit with modified conditions or findings by you. Option number 3 is to deny the proposed project, and option number 4 is to continue the hearing and direct staff to provide additional information or clarification. Staff recommends approval of both the site architectural review and conditional use permit. That concludes my presentation. I am available for questions.
Commissioner Lenore?
I was just wanting to be clear, the reason we're doing the CUP is because we're adding the spa use, because they already have a conditional use permit for a gym.
On that site,
Yeah.
it's a different site.
Yes,
His
so
gym has a conditional use permit.
Yes,
Current
so
gym.
But it's a different site. It's down the street.
yeah, the current Ravella's gym that you're thinking of is down the street a little bit of a ways. They're proposing to establish a gym use at this existing site that's right at the corner of
Oh, because I
Hillcrest.
went there, and I'm like, I don't remember it being so close to the corner.
Right, so this is a different site, so the conditional use
Okay, so I
permit
did-
is
oh
to
my
establish a gym
goodness.
at this other site on Industrial Drive.
Well, I'm glad I went and seen, because at least I get it now. I'm like, what's he doing there?
I
That's
went,
where all the outdoor stuff is, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
and
right.
we have a condition for the outdoor equipment to be
Sorry for the
removed.
confusion, so this is gonna require that.
Yeah,
Thank
I went
you.
by the site as well. I noticed the equipment outside as, so I assume it's just in transition right now.
Yeah, it is conditioned for that to be removed, I believe, 5 days after planning commission approval, if it's to be approved, yes.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
So it's a whole different building. Boy, he's really expanding. Okay, thank you. I don't go there, so I don't see it often, but I was wondering why I was so close to Hillcrest.
Okay,
I
we
have
will,
no other questions, Chairman.
all right, any other questions? All right, we'll open the public comment at 6:46. Any speakers?
I have no speaker cards. I believe the applicant's architect is online, with the hand raised. So Aaron Tolfson,
Hello, can you hear me?
we can go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. My name's Aaron Tollefson with AST Design Group. I'm helping Steve and Lisa Ravella on the drawings and getting us through the approval process. And they're very excited to have their expansion here on another building. This building does not have a spa in it, so this is basically a basketball court, reception, and training rooms with some dressing rooms as well. There's no additional bathrooms or anything like that. And they're very excited about doing a little nice improvements to the outside of the building, which is probably much needed right now. So we have read all the conditions of approval and in acceptance of it. So I'm available for any questions or comments. Thank you.
All right, any questions for the applicant's engineer? Next speaker.
I have no other speakers, Mr. Chair.
All right, we'll close the public comment at 6:47. Any comments from the commission? Do we have a motion?
Did we, that was 30. Okay, so the next number is,
The next resolution number would be 2023-34.
34. I move that we adopt PC Resolution Number 2023-34, approving a conditional use permit 2023-2 to establish a gym and health spa at 802 Industrial Drive, with the conditions and the findings as presented in the resolution.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. Do we have a motion for the site and architectural review?
I move that we adopt resolution number 2023-35, approving site and architectural review 2023-5 to improve the facade of an existing building, parking, trash enclosure, and landscaping at 802 Industrial Drive, with the findings and conditions as presented in this resolution.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. We'll move on to
Good luck. Awesome.
move on to new business. There's none listed. Old business, there's none listed. No study session items. So we'll get to planning department reports.
Thank you, Chair. I have one exciting announcement. So Miss Eva Kelly is now your permanent planning manager.
All right.
She was
Congratulations.
recently promoted. And so, and then the other one is that the city will be having a new building official starting on November 6th. So look forward to that.
Awesome. You got your hands full.
Oh, just wait. And
All right, if there are no other
I have
reports.
no other reports.
Okay. Moving on to planning commission reports. Anything that the planning commission would like to report? Commissioner Lenore.
I would like to report that Safeway has no landscaping out in their whole perimeter. Reporting it again. We asked the Ninos across the street to do what they could in their blacktop lot, put in a little bit of bushes, but doggone it, there's not a stick of landscaping left on the corner of Sunny Slope and Sunny Slope, Trespinos, Pinnacle National Highway. It's all gone. There was conditions. So I would really like the landscape to be placed back there like it was approved. So that's my request. I don't know how you do it, but that's my request.
so typically we would need to go back and take a look. One of the challenges that we have if we don't have conditions or requirements in our codes that say that the landscaping shall be maintained.
We do now.
Yeah, so,
We did then too.
and so that's what, we can go back and take a look at it and do a
Yeah,
follow-up.
it's either gonna be K&S or Safeway. I mean, probably Safeway when they bought it.
Yeah, we can look and see if we can locate original approval conditions
Yeah, I
and
mean,
see what
it's
they say.
gone. This is not a good look for the corner, the intersection right there. And then it's banner heaven, which I don't like.
Yeah, as long as you're at it, no signs. A rule of no signs allowed.
Private property, I mean, but I don't know what you guys do with that. It's kind of a thing that's been ongoing for several years now.
So that corner is, we are following up on those signs. I'm not sure if you have noticed around town, there has been a lot of cleanup of temporary signs.
Yes, I take them down every
A
weekend.
lot of, good for you. But we are looking into that corner and making sure that code enforcement is aware of that too. So that question had come up.
I cleaned both those intersections 2 weeks ago. I had a big pile of signs in my hand. The whole, in downtown, you don't put any sign down there, I don't get. Just doesn't look good. I never touch lost animal or lost people, ever. I let them ride.
Are there any other reports from the commission? So with no other business for this meeting, we will adjourn the meeting at 6:53.
That's a shorty one.